All right, chat. So I'm still in the process of moving. This video right now, specifically, is actually on a super whim, beyond whimsical, beyond willy nilly, right? Because this video is just a quick rant. Because this morning my mom triggered me by her getting triggered by something that I said, right? So I don't think parents understand school in modern day. So little background, right? My parents are older. My dad's a boomer, certified boomer, born in 1950 something. I'm not gonna give you all the information as doxing shit, right? But my mom is a older Gen X. She's older, right? And they obviously went to school in the older day before I was born. Obviously, I'm Gen Z, as you can't tell. If you can't tell, then you're hating on me already. You know what I'm saying? W hate, but they don't understand the concept, or not the concept, but the practicality of school. My mom at least. My dad, I don't really talk to him about my school stuff. Pretty much. Anyways, so my mom this morning she asked me how I'm doing in school, and she doesn't really ask me that often because I'm being in college now. You're handling your own stuff. Back in high school, not only could she be asking me about it, but she could see it because when you're a kid, you know what I'm saying? You're not a little kid, but you're a kid in high school, right? So they have access to your information because it's important as a future thing, right? For parents to be able to see stuff. But as a college student, they don't have that access. So she hadn't been asking. She doesn't ask very often because again, it's my responsibility. But this morning she asked me how I'm doing in school. I told her I have a 2.8. And that's not true, right? My GPA is about 2.6 right now because right, I only have 3 classes this term, right? 3 classes. Because stuff that's a whole I'll get into later in the video, right? But right now I only have 3 classes. 2 of them I have 90% something, 92 or 91% in the class, and then I have another class with like 83%, I think. And my class that's bringing my GPA down is at a 52%. You know what I'm saying? A 52%. And it's because of one assignment, bro. Well, not really. One big assignment, and that I missed the beginning of the semester, beginning of the term. Worth 20 points, by the way. An assignment worth 20 points has had my grade down to a 50% the entire semester. It was lower than this earlier. It was lower than this. It was like a 45% for like a month. You know what I'm saying? So we have a project at the end of it for the final. So I need to lock in with that, which is fine. I'm not worried about that. I just need to do it right. But my GPA is at a 2.6 right now. I think no more than 2.8. 2.8 was just so my mom wouldn't be as bothered by it because she. This is also the main issue. This is the main reason I rant. Right? Parents, my mom specifically, not understanding the practicality of school. She was mad that she's like, "You should be at least at 3.5 or a 4.0." What do you mean at least at a 4.0? If I could get a 4 point if you could expect me to get a 4.0, why the fuck would I be going to a CSU, bro? Why would I be going to nothing wrong with going to a CSU, but if you're expecting me to get the Cynthia Rivero thing, right? If you're the concept of you expecting a CSU student to just easily get a 3.5, 4.0 is beyond unreasonable, right? Nothing wrong with wanting your kid to succeed. Nothing wrong with with having like your kid being, a smart kid, but not really showing it or whatever. My mom's thing for me has been that I never show my full potential or never live up to my potential, which is like there's fairness in that, but also like you aren't there's nothing things aren't clicking, right? I have never been a great student. For my since grades were starting to be tracked, I don't know if they took grades in elementary school, right? But since middle school, right, I have been a mediocre student on average. Saying like my best year in school was sophomore year, 10th grade, right? And that year was fraudulent. That would be my Mickey Mouse year, bro. You know what I'm saying? Mickey Mouse school year was 10th grade. 2017, no, 2016, 2017? No, 2017, 2018, right? That was a Mickey Mouse school year for me because that year I got a 3 point something GPA. That was the easiest school year of my life. Um like I bro, that year I got a straight A. I got an A plus. I got an A plus in my English class, and I played Fortnite every day in that class on my phone. Right? I didn't have a console in my backpack. You know what I'm saying? On my phone. Right? Back when Fortnite was on the phone, Fortnite mobile. You know what I'm saying? I played Fortnite mobile every morning in that English class and got a straight A. And got an A plus. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, other classes in that school year were not the same level of ease, but for me to get like, bro, my hardest class that year, aside from math, because math has never been my friend. Actually, no. After after about third grade geometry, third grade geometry, bro. after that year of math, decline. You know what I'm saying? I went from yeah, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't even like there wasn't even a peak. I just went from not knowing math to being bad at math. There wasn't even a fucking a rise in peak. I guess you could say, okay, you could technically give me a peak because I transferred schools in third grade because one time because I messed up my address or whatever. So you have to be in a certain address to be at a certain school. So I moved schools one time, and then I went to a different school. They were already teaching something ahead of the curriculum. So when I transferred schools again after that school, I was already ahead, but only in that specific subject. So I only knew one thing better than the other niggas in my class, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, this is actually a point segment or whatever, a segment point, whatever it's called. And this is actually an arrow or line. It doesn't end. It's infinite, right? Math genius over here, buddy. I've only actually gotten two math whizzes in my entire life. First grade math tests, bro. And I don't think, okay, I did cheat on my math test 3 times in first grade. I only got caught once, but I got a genuine math whiz once. I'm proud of that. You know what I'm saying? First grade math. Anyways, moral of the story is part of the moral of the story. I never was a good student. Okay, if I'm not one of the people that's gonna say that school wasn't for me. I used to say that a lot when I was like maybe like 2 years ago. So I mean I don't necessarily reject that thought now, that perspective now, but I feel like it's not completely accurate. So I feel like school prioritizes turning stuff in versus actually showing like if school was based off what you know even instead of what you turn in, which is it's kind of hard to test to demonstrate what you know without turning something in. But my issue that I've realized after ranting about this early this morning, right, to myself, is that my issue was not knowing the stuff. My issue was not studying. My parents, and it's like again, I am a philosophy enjoyer, right? I'm not gonna go on a tangent right now. I'll try not to, right? But I am very aware that this is also my parents' first time on Earth. You know what I'm saying? This is our first time on Earth. If I have to reload back into save, bruh, please don't take off the game from the console, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Delete my file, please. Um, but my parents they only know what they know. They only know what they were told. You know what I'm saying? They're not Gen Z. They don't have access. I mean, they do have access. I'm saying, but like growing up, what's instilled in them, it wasn't gonna change randomly because it was part of life, right? So, what I say about that is, I know when they expect me to do something, when they are expecting me to be a certain way, it's because they were raised to raise their kids a certain way, right? They were raised to raise their kids to be college graduates and all that stuff, right? Which is fair. I respect that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm not complaining about that. I'm glad I have parents that even care that much to be concerned about my school, my academic career and stuff like that, right? But for you to say that you expect a 3.5 GPA, expect a 4.0 minimum, I know you can get over a 4.0 in high school, but buddy, this is my third year in college. I know you can probably get higher than 4.0 in college, but it's like it would be different if I fell off. If I was in my prime during high school and fell off dramatically. You know, if I was averaging a 4.0 or something like that in high school, right? My lowest year in high school would have been like a 3.3 or something like that. Well, that would have been a bad year, right? But no, my best year in school was a 3.3, right? And this is again, like I was just saying, right? My issue that I'm realizing now after all this time, after ranting about it this morning, is my issue was never studying. My issue was never the information. It was the organization and the focus. You know what I'm saying? The organization to turn stuff in was my biggest downfall. Is what I'm realizing now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like back then, you think, damn, I keep forgetting my stuff. I keep forgetting this and that. And it's like your parents, they see you have bad grades. They think, oh, you're not studying enough. You're not studying. You're not hitting those books enough. Which is like I understand because you can't. They're not in my brain. They birthed me, but they don't have my brain. They're not in my brain. They don't think like me, right? They're not Gen Z. They didn't have Snapchat and fucking when they were 15, right? They didn't have fucking social media when they were young, right? They had books. All they had was books and letters, right? So if they don't have the understanding to know that there's more distractions, which is not an excuse. People obviously get straight A's all the time. You know, and whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm not it's not an excuse. This is me saying this is my experience, right? What I'm realizing now, self-reflection is that my biggest issue was the organization. I'm already neurodivergent. If you couldn't tell, if you couldn't tell, I'm neurodivergent, right? But the focus, I wouldn't say the focus is like the biggest issue, but because like organization focus, not really the same thing, but they kind of intertwine, right? So for me, turning stuff in was my biggest downfall. There were times when I would literally do work on time. I was also a procrastinator like a motherfucker, boy. I can't lie, but I used to push it off. Yeah, I used to push it off like a lot, bro. A lot. I wait until like the last, literally the morning of to do my shit, right? And every time when I do my shit on time, when I get it that day, I'll do it that day. Even though it's due in 2 weeks, I'll do it today, right? And I would forget my work at home. Or I would lose my work. I have bro. Then bro, my luck, I know luck isn't a real thing when it comes to just being a good student, but nigga, oh my god, my luck was terrible, bro. Sometimes, nigga, one time I dropped my fucking work in a puddle, bro. Bro, the one of the few times I would do my work on time, I drop it in a puddle. I know it's only one time, but god, a nigga, a puddle, bro. And then sometimes nigga would throw fucking old milk in my backpack. You know what I'm saying? My luck was just all over the place, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't have bad luck, I had no luck, right? That's ball knowledge right there. Not ball knowledge. That's like trademarking that shit, right? If it's not bad luck, it's no luck, right? Anyways, so I tell my or no, anyways, back to the main point of the story. This morning, my mom, she gets mad at me because I don't have a 3.0, which is I can understand why, but expecting a 4.0 minimum is kind of crazy. When if I ever, bro, if I could average, not average, if you could expect me to get a 4.0, why the fuck would I be at a CSU? Nothing wrong with being at a CSU at all, right? But it's like if you could expect me to get a 3.5 minimum GPA, why the fuck would I be at a CSU? I know it's probably easier at a CSU, but it's like if you could expect me to have that kind of GPA, why would I be there now? I'm saying you don't just magically turn into a 4.0 student. This squeaky ass chair, bro. This chair, once I get to motion, this chair, I'm gonna buy a new one anyway. But once I get to motion, this chair's gonna be replaced. A lot of squeaking. You can see the socks. Put a lower right here. I'll tell you the lower will come later. Anyways, so why would you expect me to have a 4.0 minimum? I know you can have a 4.0, 4.5 plus when you're in high school or certain times in college, right? But when the fuck have I ever shown the potential? Not potential. That's also another thing. She's been really hard on me about potential since middle school because my teachers all on the report cards, right? The fucking report card era of everything. Report cards always show not living to full potential, which is I understand. Which is also why I say school. If school was based on what you know, which is hard, again, I know it's hard to display what you know without turning in work, but if school is based on what you know versus what you turn in, I would probably and it's like what ifs, you know what I'm saying, all the whatevers, right? But it's I'm genuinely think that if it wasn't about turning stuff in, then it would be a lot better of a system for me. And that's it's a lot of I'm not trying to make excuses per se, but I'm just telling you how I feel about it, right? Because an organization is important, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely an important skill, but that being my main downfall, and again, nobody can know that, right? Nobody can know that he's just not good at turning in work. Because I studied too, right? I studied sometimes. Not I would say half the time I studied, right? And math is my biggest issue as well. Math will always be my biggest downfall. No matter how much I studied math, I would just never understand it. I had tutoring for like 2 years straight, and I still didn't get that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? My highest level of math in high school was algebra two. Like math, just it would enter my brain and it would just immediately disintegrate. I don't know if I had some kind of anti-math rays come out of my fucking brain cells or whatever, right? Or if I just or just it would just stop my forehead, bro. You know what I'm saying? But when it came to actual school and academics, I understood everything that was being said. Testing was somehow hard in terms of like I would always have bad test score, not always, but I have bad test scores pretty often. Um, okay, bad is putting kind of harshly, right? But I would never have like crazy good test scores every single time. Like I was an average student in terms of like my product, right? But in terms of I can tell you about shit, right? Like I could talk to you about shit, but I'm not gonna tell you that I'm not gonna tell you I'm a fucking genius. I'm not gonna get 90% on every test, right? But it's like if school was about what you knew, if school was based on conversational skills about certain topics, then sure. But obviously that's not really practical because you have to be able to demonstrate that you know it, which is anyways, tangenting ish over this whole thing's a tangent. It's a abscess, bro. But my mom this morning, she gets mad at me for not being a 4.0 student. When have you think about my history, think about my lore, about my academic lore, right? When have I ever gotten anything close to a 4.0? Genuinely, like I mean, I'm not good at math and numbers, right? So maybe I'm just doing the math wrong, right? In my 12 decade plus of being in school, since again, so I'm gonna count only the days when stuff was graded, right, with report cards. Well, I mean, maybe report cards in elementary school, but nobody's keeping track of your grades in certain classes, right? But ever since sixth grade, up to 12th grade, right? 6 years, and then obviously like these last 3 years of me being in school. Well, it's been longer than 3 years of me being in college, right? But with high school, middle school, and college, right? Whenever I ever gotten anything close to a 4.0, except for that one Mickey Mouse year when I was playing Fortnite in my class and still got an A plus in that class, bro. If me doing that, I mean, they don't know that. My parents don't know that, bro. But if me doing that is not a telltale sign that it was fraudulent last year, bro, I don't know what to tell you, my nigga. If me playing Fortnite Mobile, being Tfue in my fucking school was not a telltale sign that it was a fucking fraudulent class, a fraudulent school year, I should say, not the class. Class was good. It was just an easy ass class. Like I don't know how I passed the class. I'm not saying it was hard, but I'm like, what did I do to not fail the class? To not get less than an A the entire school year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you. Like my hardest class that year was history. Genuinely, she was a good teacher too. It's just that it was a class that required actual effort. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what fell off my brain. That was my prime year, bro. You know what I'm saying? Mickey Mouse year, my prime year, don't really matter. I still got the grades, but my high school GPA was not more than 2.5. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what makes you think I'm just gonna turn into some kind of magically academic weapon, bro. You know what I'm saying? A 4.0 minimum is kind of crazy to expect out of a college student, right? Because randomly, I should say, if you're a student, if your kid has never gotten over 3.5 in consecutive years, let alone multiple years, why would you expect them to just magically start being a 4.0 student just because you're mad at them about it? You know what I'm saying? She gets mad at me this morning for not handling my business. My business was handled. It got unhandled because they fucked me over, right? I'm talking about my tuition assistants, right? Because this whole thing, this whole rant is because I mentioned my TA, right? Because she asked me how's school going. I said I got 2.8, and she's like, she doesn't even get mad at that initially. She's talk. I immediately changed the conversation to my TA, my tuition assistants, right? I say I can pay my tuition assistants. I can pay my tuition right now because I have money, right? But I'll have like a lot less money after I pay it. That's how math works, right? After I pay money, it's gone. I don't have money left, but I'll have money from just a little bit of change left, and then I'll have my school money that'll come in, my armed forces money, not affiliated with the DoD, by the way, and then my regular job money, right? So that's three more sources of income that I'm expecting in the next 2 months, right? So like I'll be fine, financially. It'll hurt a lot to pay that a lot of money for that tuition, right? But it's just like, dude, you're getting you. Then she gets mad about that because she gets mad at the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, she gets mad at the wrong thing. She gets mad that my business was handling me instead of me handling my business, even though that wasn't like she literally acknowledged. She just said the exact antithesis of what she was getting mad about when she said that when she acknowledged the fact that I did my part about submitting my classes, but they didn't do something about on their end, right? It was a it was a whole thing, you know what I'm saying, for like a month of me being like, well, not well, yeah, I guess a month, right? Because I told my school they didn't do their part, right? The people at my school, the veteran center at my school, y'all niggas didn't do your part, bro. Y'all niggas didn't do your part. That's why my shit was fucked up. I have to go down FAFSA, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get FAFSA. I'm not gonna get no goddamn student loan, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Fuck this, bro. Why would I get a student loan, bro? You know what I'm saying? So then she gets mad at me for she goes on a tangent about the whole you should be averaging a 3.5 minimum, 4.0 minimum. What universe? When have I ever had a 3.5 minimum to expect out of me? Yeah, potential. Potential does not mean shit, my nigga. Potential could be anything, my nigga. I have the potential to be in the NBA. Nigga, I'm not going to be in the NBA. I'm saying I have potential to be a fucking in the Prem, you know what I'm saying, the Premier League playing with Holland. I should be Holland. I'm jealous. I know. I don't care. I do care. That's why I'm saying it. I wish I was Holland, bro. I wish I was a fucking striker in Premier League, bro. I can't lie. It haunts me every day, genuinely. Um, that's video for a different time though. But if you could expect my potential to be a 3.5, then then I would have had it by now. Potential is pretty easy to reach in terms of like if it's easy to you, it'll be easy to you. You know what I'm saying? It'll be easily attainable, right? If with a proper support system, right? Because my parents, again, they support me a good amount, pretty well actually, right? In terms of like encouragement, not necessarily like like they don't like they carry me, but I'm talking about like they support you in terms of like being you can do this, you can do that, like, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of stuff, right? So it's like you expecting me to get a 3.5 because off of potential. What am I, the golden boy? And what am I like? Fucking who was it? Who was it? But like one guy from, anyways, right? me having potential does not mean shit if it's like even if I bro, support system is like the probably the biggest thing for most people, right? So it's like I had that support system, right? But my potential was just me knowing the shit. You know what I'm saying? Me being bro, being neurodivergent in school is a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing because you know a lot of shit early on, and you know a lot of shit about random shit. So you have your memory, but not your memory, but your bank of knowledge about random shit is higher on average, I would say, right? But your focus in organization takes a hit because you aren't focused on that. If I'm focused on fucking rent, like bro, they said I had like potential because of shit that I knew from answering questions in class, because of shit that I would say in class, because of other stuff I would do outside of classwork, outside of homework, right? Potential in terms of what I know. Potential like doesn't mean shit when it comes to turning in work. If I forget my bro, and then parents seem to just not understand the concept of forgetting homework or just forgetting in general. I know, like, and then, again, that comes down to organization, right? Because if I don't remember to do my work, that's one thing. If I do it and then forget to turn it in, that's another thing, right? It's just like I can forget stuff, and I know you aren't supposed to. You're supposed to be trained to remember better, to plan better, to focus better. But obviously, my main area of lack was the fact that I was unorganized. You know what I'm saying? And it's like what I was. My parents just thought it was a lack of studying. You know what I'm saying? I studied a lot. I studied a bunch when I was a kid. Not over. I didn't study like a lot, but I studied sufficiently. You know what I'm saying? Because I did. Because like, bro, if you are like me, you know that school was not hard. It was so not hard that you didn't think you had to study because stuff was you understood the stuff. You didn't have to fucking do whatever. You could have just walked in this class and taken a test and been like, okay. There were certain tests where you're like, God damn, nigga, is this the same fucking language? I'm saying like I walked in the building one day. This class says it's fucking geography, right? I'm thinking, nigga, why is fucking George Washington on this test? What did he have to do with geography? Stuff like that, right? But there's most of the time you're seeing the like information that you have in the test, and it's like, okay, I get this. I can infer the answer from this, educated guesses and all that kind of stuff, right? But for the most part, school was never going to be hard. It's just the turning in the schoolwork was a struggle because I kept forgetting it. I kept forgetting to do it, or I was do it too late, or what I'm saying. There's just many things where it came to the foundation of organization, bro. Never me having the foundation of understanding it, of me not studying enough. It was always me being like, damn, forgot my homework again. Forgot to do my homework. You know what I'm saying? That's just I'm not making excuses for it. I'm not saying I should be excused for it, but it's just like, well, I can't. You're expecting a 4.0 out of a college student randomly, not like randomly, but after me be averaging 2.7 in high school maximum, that I'm gonna just magically get a fucking 4.0 in college. You think it's gonna get easier as I get older? You think like she's like in a I understand her perspective that my only responsibility is homework, which is it's not necessarily disingenuous, but it's just like you think I don't like oh, I just don't know. Maybe like 1995 it was different when you're going to school or some shit like that, right? Because it was just different. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, you don't have Snapchat, you don't have fucking social media and shit like that, right? Like I'm not saying social media is a downfall of school, but distractions are more abundant, as I would say. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are you expecting me to do? I get a 4.0 randomly for minimum. Actually, should I say minimum is crazy because again, I know you can get higher than that. But when have I ever been a person to again? If I could get a 4.3 GPA in fucking college, don't you think I would have already been in a 4.0 type of situation prior to that? Let alone entering that randomly, locking a little too late, right? Why would I be at a CSU with a 4.5 GPA? I'm not saying you should not be at a 4.5 GPA, or I'm not saying you should not be at a CSU if you have a good GPA. But I'm saying if I was in that type of academic realm, I wouldn't even be. I would be at UCLA. I would be at a fucking different school. Not saying my school is bad. My school is pretty. I like my school a lot. You know what I'm saying? But why would I be at that school if I had the option of a 4.0 average student? Don't you think I would be at a different school? Why don't you think I'd be a different school? Why nigga, come on, man. Be for real here, bro. Like, why would I be at a fucking CSU with a 4.5 GPA average minimum? What kind of shit is that? Do you parents like? I know she was probably distracted by working and shit like that. I know she's probably distracted by because she's getting ready to leave for work. So I know she's probably packing her shit. She's not really thinking clearly, because you're mad at the wrong thing. You're mad that. Can you stop barking, my nigga? Can y'all hear that dog barking? Can you stop? Okay. Anyways, right? I know you're like busy getting ready for work and shit, right? So you're probably not thinking straight because clearly you're getting mad at the wrong thing. You're getting mad at me for paying for my tuition, but not getting like you're getting mad at me about my tuition instead of me getting. So, anyways, Chad, that's the whole rant today, right? That's the whole rant. 25-minute video, by the way. No cuts. This is gonna be raw dogging y'all niggas, bro. I'm raw dogging y'all niggas, right? This is a raw footage with the dog barking in the background. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, I know it's gonna be hard. If you're still in school watching this, right? Parents are probably gonna be on your back about a lot of shit. So I would say stay resilient because this morning, and then, dude, you know what? That's a different video. Different video. Anyways, fuck with y'all niggas, bro. See y'all later.